Today, we present this proclamation in commemoration of Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. We honor those who lost their lives, and we honor those brave survivors whose life is a testament to good, not evil, success, not defeat. This genocide, defined as the intentional destruction of a group, must forever be remembered as one of the darkest periods of time in history. In 1905, Spanish philosopher and novelist George Santayana said that those who do not learn their history are condemned to repeat it. These words were not in reference to the Holocaust, but truer words have never been spoken. It is imperative for each of us, as well as for all future generations, as Elie Wiesel said, without memory, there is no culture. Without memory, there would be no civilization, no society, no future. I'm going to ask my colleagues, Councilmember Friedson and Councilmember Glass, to make a few remarks, and then we're going to read the proclamation. Please, Councilmember Friedson.
Thank you, Councilmember Katz. This is a solemn day, and we're here to do our solemn obligation to bear witness to the lost and to the living, to assume a shared responsibility to tell the stories of the Holocaust. We join together to honor the memory of those who perished, to recognize the unthinkable suffering of those who survived, and to recommit ourselves to the phrase never again, not just with our words, but with our actions. We're reminded every year that if we took a minute of silence for each of the 6 million Jews who perished during the Holocaust, we'd be sitting here in silence for more than 11 years. As we're joined today by a survivor, a child and grandchild of survivors, we're recognizing that they represent an act of defiance, perhaps the most profound display of resistance against one of the worst atrocities and darkest periods of systematic evil in human history. Today, we join once again to remember, to honor the lost and the living, and to ensure their stories are shared as part of our collective memory. We join in solidarity to reject the disease of indifference against oppression, persecution, and genocide against anyone, anywhere. And we stand together to remember and to say never again.
You're on mute.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you, and I hope you all had a nice Passover. And when we talk about the Holocaust, as has been noted, we always say never forget. And as more people who've lived through that horrible, horrible period leave us here on Earth, we have to work harder every year to remind us and future generations of the atrocities that took place so that they too never forget. And unfortunately, recent events make us realize the tremendous work that is ahead of us. All we have to do is look a few miles down the road at the Capitol insurrection on January 6th, where people broke into our symbol of democracy, brandishing swastikas and glorifying the death of 6 million Jews. It is absolutely disgusting and heart-wrenching to know that such a violent act took place, and took place at the command of former President Trump, and to see, and for the whole world to see, quite frankly, that the insurrectionists harbored anti-Semitic views and that those sentiments are shared by far too many people. So being here today, honoring a survivor and a child and grandchild of survivors, we need to continue doing this. We need to continue speaking up and speaking out, standing together so that everybody knows that we can never have this happen again, and so that we all collectively never forget.
Thank you. I'm going to ask, we're going to read the proclamation, and then I'm going to introduce some people who are going to be receiving it. But I'll start, and then Councilmember Friedson and Councilmember Glass, and we'll go through it as that way. Whereas the Holocaust was the state-sponsored systemic persecution and annihilation of European Jews by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945, and while Jews were the primary target, 6 million were murdered. Other ethnic and religious groups also were victimized, and
whereas, pursuant to a 1980 Act of Congress, the United Holocaust Memorial Council designates days of remembrance each year to recall and reflect on the horrible crimes committed during the Holocaust, and to ensure that the memory and legacy of lives lost will not be forgotten. And
whereas we have a responsibility to those who perished, as well as those who survived, to educate current and future generations and rededicate ourselves to the history of the Holocaust and its impact on the world. And
whereas on Sunday, April 11th, 2021, the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Washington will host a virtual community-wide Holocaust Remembrance Commemoration, Yom HaShoah, to honor the lives of the 6 million Jews killed and the survivors and liberators among us, and to call to mind their courage, forbearance, and strength. And
whereas JCRC continues to make sure the memories of victims and lessons of the Holocaust are never forgotten through the JCRC Holocaust Survivors Speaker Bureau, as well as many other programs.
now therefore be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby recognizes Thursday, April 8th, 2021 as Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yom HaShoah, in Montgomery County. And be it further resolved that all residents are urged to rededicate themselves to not bear witness to injustice and to always remain vigilant to the principles of a just society. Presented on this 6th day of April in the year 2021, signed by Council Members Katz, Friedson, Glass, and Council President Hucker.
thank you very much. And I'm now going to have the 3 generations receive this proclamation. But I did want to take a moment of personal privilege and sincerely thank the people in my office, and especially Lisa Mandel-Trupp and her family. Her father, Manny Mandel, is a Holocaust survivor. Lisa, of course, is second generation, a child of a survivor. And Zach Trupp, who is also on this call, Lisa's son, because they have brought additional information to me, and I certainly was aware of the Holocaust my entire life. I'm named for a person that was killed in the Holocaust, but it certainly has brought additional information. And I have often said, and because Manny goes and works at the Holocaust Museum, that as many times as I had been there before, it never had as much meaning as the day that he took my family and me through, because we saw it in such, we were always horrified, but we saw it in such different ways. So with that, I'm going to introduce people, 3 generations, to receive the proclamation. I know that Josie Traum, who's a Holocaust survivor, I'm not sure whether Josie is here at this point. Is Josie here? We're going to go to Rachel Miller, who's the daughter of a survivor and is representing the 2nd generation, and she will be followed by Alana Rosenfeld, the granddaughter of a survivor, and is representing the 3rd generation. And if Josie does can be here, then we will go to Josie at that point as well. So with that, please, Ms. Miller.
Good morning. Today, I'm Rachel Garbin Rappaport Miller, the daughter of 2 Polish Holocaust survivors of Auschwitz and Theresienstadt. I convey to you from the Metro DC area generations after, our gratitude for this crucial remembrance of the 6 million Jewish people who died in the Shoah. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rosenfeld.
Thank you so much, County Executive Elrich, County President Hucker, Council members Katz, Friedson, and Glass, and other members of the Council. On behalf of 3GDC and the grandchildren of Holocaust survivors in our region, I am honored to join Josie and Rachel in accepting this year's Yom HaShoah proclamation. It is essential that the lessons of the Holocaust and its stories of heroism and humanity are passed down not only through books, art, or film, but through the voices and memories of the families who will forever bear living witness. Grandchildren of Holocaust survivors are stepping up to carry on this work, engaging in remembrance, speaking to students in classrooms, and advocating against anti-Semitism and other forms of injustice. I want to thank Montgomery County for its continued support for all of us who are working year-round to ensure that never again is not just a slogan, but a promise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rosenfield. Thank you all for being here with us today, and we stand, all of us on the County Council stand shoulder to shoulder to make certain that this never happens again.